Hello, I'm Phil Cleary. Great to be with you again as we journey through the ABC's footy archives. 1965 was a big year in interstate football. South Australia travelled to Melbourne and was thrashed by the Big V, then bounced back with 2 wins over Tasmania before a rematch with the Vics at the Adelaide Oval. After losing to WA at Subiaco, a tired Victorian side made the long trip to Adelaide to play their 3rd interstate clash in just 8 days against some very hungry locals. Even so, you'd have thought the Vics had enough stars to deal with the South Australians. At centre-half back was Footscray's David Darcy, father of Luke. In the back pocket was David Parkin. And at full forward, Ralph Rogerson, a real football nomad who'd played for North Adelaide, East Perth, Fitzroy and Waverley in the VFA, as well as representing South Australia and Victoria at interstate level. I remember seeing Rogerson play at the old Brunswick Street ground with Fitzroy. He was a champion. In the South Australian side, at half-back was Jeff Motley, whose son Peter played at Carlton. Across the centre line, John Cale, father of tennis star Darren, All-Australian centreman Robert Day and the fearless Ken Eustace. And rover Colin Rice had played in Geelong's 1963 premiership side. On the bench was Eric Freeman, who played 11 test matches for Australia as an opening bowler and big-hitting lower-order batsman.
After a very torrid quarter, Victoria, 2 goals won, 13 points, have a 2-point advantage over South Australia, 1 goal 5, 11 points. Here's South Australia coming right down to the full forward area where it's come off hand, picked up by Grillisitz. He kicks a high one across to Simonson, and Simonson has taken a mark a long way out from goal. Simonson would be at least 50 yards out from goal, but have been an amazing quarter for South Australia with their superior pace. Here's the kick from Simonson right down to the goal square where Schultz from behind comes down to Potter. Potter snaps up for goal, and there's a goal, and that is South Australia's 5th goal in a row without a point in this quarter, and South Australia lead now 6-5 to Victoria, 2 goals 1. Farmer ready to come in for Victoria, going to be opposed here by Wedding. And Wedding palms it down to Pascoe, and Pascoe gets a clearing kick, comes out towards the pocket position, and here is Goggin in, but Goggin is thrown around the neck by Eustace, and it will be a free kick, and also a 15-yard penalty has been clapped on South Australia, rightly so too, because Eustace grabbed the player Uren around the neck, and Uren is going to take a shot for Victoria. No, it's Goggin who gets the ball, and Goggin is going back now to take the shot in from a very, very acute angle. Now here's the kick by Goggin, and it's coming right across to the goal square, and a mark has been taken by South Australia. Mark taken here by Jarrett, the fullback for South Australia. So once again Victoria, after a great effort, failed to score, but now a mark has been taken by Schultz for Victoria, and they will have another chance to score. Now here is Schultz. He's within scoring range, takes the kick, and I think he's a little bit offline, and it's out of bounds. Out of bounds for a throw-in right down in front of the Victorian goal. Nicholls and Farmer up in front of Wedding. Wedding gets the ball down, but I think it's a free going to Nicholls. Free to Nicholls, and he will take a shot in towards goal. Wedding got Nicholls right over the shoulder, and now here's Nicholls coming in, takes the shot in, and there it is through the middle for Victoria's first goal since quarter time. South Australia 8 goals 7, leading Victoria 3 goals 1. Victoria have not been able to add even a point in this quarter, and South Australia have gone merrily on to add 3 goals. A nice short pass there by Schultz across to Burt. in the closing few minutes of play. There's only a little while to go, and they play it down towards Rogerson, I think it is. Yes, Rogerson on the half-forward left position, and Victoria now will get the ball down within scoring distance. And there's the kick down towards a full forward area where it's come down, socket off the ground, over towards the goal post. But in the meantime, umpire Woods is awarding a free to Victoria, and the free kick is going to be taken by John, only about 35 yards away from goal and on an angle of about 45 degrees. This will give Victoria an opportunity to score their first point for the quarter. They failed to score in the second quarter and so far have not scored in this term, but the kick there by John is not a good one, off the side of the boot, and that is the end of the match. That is the end of the match, and a remarkable victory to South Australia, who held the lead right from the beginning and kept Victoria to scoreless quarters, the second quarter and also the final quarter, in which Victoria failed to score. South Australia won by 64 points, 12 goals 11 to Victoria 3 goals 1.
Victoria's 3 goals 1 was its lowest score in intercolonial and interstate matches played between 1879 and 1999.
One of the legends of the Big V in the 60s, and of course in 1965, was the great John Nicholls. 2 games in Perth and a trip to Adelaide. That sounds tough to me.
Well, it was, and I'd like to say it was enjoyable, and most times it was playing for the Big V because it was such an honour for us, and we used to look for, our highlight of the year was basically trying to get picked, you know, for the Big V. But that trip was tough, and we lost, lost a couple of games, which wasn't good.
Do you remember the crowd giving it to you? Did they give it to you?
Well, when you went to Perth or to Adelaide, the first thing, if you kicked a goal, it was quiet, nothing happened. But no, it was just rivalry. But I mean, I used to love playing against the Neil Curleys and these guys. You know, they were tough and ruthless and great competitors and great guys.
Why did you lose to the South Australians in 1965?
Well, probably because they were better than us on the day. But it's no good making excuses about travelling to Perth for two games and play Saturday, Tuesday, and have to play again. But look, most times I think in those days we won the Big V, and sometimes we probably were a bit blasé about it, and we thought, oh, well, it's only a matter of running out and we'll win. But playing good sporting sides, it doesn't always work out that way.
So you want to say well done to Neil Curley now tonight?
Of course, to Foss Williams in particular. Foss, the coach, was the great Williams family, and Foss was the godfather of them all, and he was great. But they were South Australians. Every time we played them, win or lose, they were enthusiastic because you had Neil Curley probably captain, and you had Foss Williams coach, and they were driven. They were right into it.
You were surrounded by so many champion players. You had 4 ruckmen, like the likes of Farmer and Schultz and Dittrich. That must have been a stunning time.
Well, it was, but in a squad of 21, quite often when the state sides were picked, they weren't balanced. There's two from the top 9 clubs and 3 from the bottom clubs, so it doesn't matter whether they fitted into an overall thing. So most times we were top heavy, most times we were big and slow and cumbersome, but most times we won. But if we played South Australia that were a bit smarter than us on the day, you know, they quite often could run us off our legs.
Did you hate the South Australians in the way that the South Australians hated the Vics?
That wasn't possible.
The early 60s hadn't been kind to the Big V. A loss to Tasmania for the first time, and losses to Western Australia twice and South Australia 3 times. Then came 1966, and what a difference a year would make. But that's another story. I'm Phil Cleary. Join me next time for more halftime footy flashbacks.